All right. Hello, this is Dr. Sergey Shealy-Sorin, and I have one again with me, Dr. Norm Shealy himself, and of course, Rachel, our star here in the office, and well, not just in the office, in the holistic field. And a couple of things. We had a wonderful birthday party celebration for Dr. Shealy. For anyone who hasn't seen some of the videos and pictures, there's a lot more where that came from. Dad did incredible. How was your birthday party?
I don't call it other than fabulous. I mean, it was tears of joy.
Oh, God. What specific parts did you like about that?
Well, I can't describe it. Certainly the Mexican band.
Mariachi?
Was a special part of it.
Well, I kind of like the fireworks at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, not big ones, but I mean enough to do something, right? So today's topic is one of those that is very important for the season. Speaking of holiday season, immunity. And Rachel is she's a health coach. She's been my coach now for a while. Actually, my wife literally reminded me that after my injury, after the accident, and Rachel, tell me if this is right or wrong. I literally lost pretty much my lower body. I mean, I had no
I don't know what you
no
were
muscles
like before.
Well,
I mean, except for when we first started. So that was my frame of reference. But yes, you've definitely gained some muscle mass.
And that's what it's all about. Just working with someone, accountability, responsibility. A couple of days a week, Rachel comes to our house, and Lindy and I, my wife and I, we do an exercise routine. We also get nutritional guidance as well from Rachel as well for the purposes of what we want to accomplish. So let's talk about nutrition and the immune system.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I should chime in here that we do try to practice what we preach. So we plan our menus and lunches here at the office, and we eat very healthy while we are on the clock. With the occasional splurge.
Yep. Let's get this mic closer to you. And so let's jump in. So obviously nutrition is a huge part of wellness and immune system, obviously. And there's, in addition to the foods, there's supplements to cover here. So do you want to jump in?
So the thing is without nutrition, your cells don't have the tools that they need to do what they're supposed to do. Every cell, metabolic process in your body, it needs good nutrition to function optimally. And there's all kinds of different nutrients. You get your macronutrients, you have your micronutrients. So if we look at macronutrients, those are your big ones: proteins, fats, carbs. And so many people get really caught up in that piece of it. It is important, but then we overlook the macronutrients, and those are your vitamins, your minerals, your enzymes, all of those things that will really help your cellular processes. They're so important for that. So if we were to start with talking about macronutrients, I would start with talking about protein. So I'm a word nerd, and the word protein is a Greek word that means primary or first. So it is the building block of pretty much every piece of metabolic process, enzymes, hormones, not all of them, but it's a really crucial piece. And they're essential for the production of immune proteins like antibodies. And then they also play a lot of roles as far as just like activating natural killer cells or, limiting the spread of infections. So you've got to have good adequate protein, but I don't get too caught up in the macronutrients. Where so many people are deficient is eating nutrient food or the micronutrients. We can start with the big one, the obvious one. Whenever we talk about immunity, what's the first vitamin that everyone thinks of?
Vitamin C.
Of course.
I mean, that's
right?
That's a big one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so vitamin C, or known as ascorbic acid, is essential, right? We have to have it for our collagen biosynthesis. Collagen is I mean, it's what your skin is made out of, what you're made out of. It's why people no longer get scurvy, is because they're getting the vitamin C to build up their tissue. So we know it's important for that. And it's also important for our catecholamine metabolism. And those hormones like epinephrine, dopamine, those type of, like hormones. It's also important. Sorry, you look like you had something.
No. It's actually it plays a role in over my God, hundreds upon hundreds of various reactions. One of the things that comes to mind, and Dr. Shealy, feel free to jump in because this is one of your favorite vitamins in the world, isn't it? Vitamin C.
Well, yes. It's more important than any other single one, but all of them are important.
Yes. And one thing that I would jump in is there's so many benefits of vitamin C, but without a good B complex, I would not recommend vitamin C in itself because vitamin C requires the cofactors such as B1, B2, B6, others, and it's literally if you don't have the B complex, like such as essentials, which is one of the key combinations, essentials and youth formula. For everyone, literally for everyone, is that literally gives you the fuel for the cells, and that gives you the fuel to actually do something with those cells. In other words, DHEA elevation, anti-stress wellness hormone, which is another huge benefit, and immunity. But please feel free to.
To jump back to the stress thing,
Yes.
So just kind of back to for a minute, or ascorbic acid, or whatever you want to call it. Some really, I think these are pieces of information that people might help you make better dietary choices. We are one of the only species that does not make our own vitamin C. So if you were to look at a goat or a sheep or anything else, they actually they have an enzyme so they can produce their own vitamin C. We do not have that enzyme. Neither do guinea pigs. So there's a couple other ones that don't have it, which means you have to get it from the diet. And because vitamin C, as we know, is water soluble and it's not well stored, you have to constantly replenish, which kind of goes back to why Dr. Shealy has the youth formula.
Yep, 4 capsules a day, and every day. People ask me, what if I don't take it? What if I take it just once in a while? Well, what if you fill up a car once in a while? You'll be able to drive it once in a while.
You'll be unhappy the majority of the time.
Right.
And so just giving the body the tools that it needs to do the things it needs to do is just so important. Something else I think people should know if they're worried about immunity and trying to stay healthy throughout this season is glucose, so sugar, and vitamin C, that molecule, they compete for the same transporter, so to get into the cell. So if you're eating a bunch of processed carbs and taking your vitamin C, I don't know which one's getting into the cell. So that can be a bit of a problem. It's also one of the reasons when people say, oh, drink if you're sick. I would rather you ate an orange.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, the thing is, and this is something I thought I would talk about too, is like the orange go-to fruit for vitamin C, but there are so many other foods much richer in vitamin C. So you could do red bell peppers. Most fruits and vegetables are going to have some level of vitamin C. One of the super fruits, that term loosely, because all foods have value in nutrition.
More rich than others.
Exactly. And so if you're looking for a food, like camu has like 1,000% or, in a teaspoon. So there are many really great vitamin C in the diet. Sometimes it's still not enough, especially if you're eating processed carbs. If you don't want to eat foods like beef liver, I'm going to talk about that food a lot because it has a lot of nutrition in it, but most of us don't want to eat it. So,
well, let me just jump in. A lot of folks eat taste.
That is true.
And that, well, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's good to enjoy yourself. But the bottom line is there's a lot of taste manipulation. And actually the food market nowadays, why is processed food so addicting? In other words, there's chemicals there. There's things that make it feel and taste good. But here's the thing: if you go on a healthy spree and then you try to go back to the junk, it's going to taste like cardboard. My God, folks. And this is your own body telling you that it's something ain't right. So to the wrong thing, and then we think that that's okay. And then it's hard to tell people, not just the young people, but everyone, literally. I don't think the age has much to do with it now, but poor health is everywhere. But it's hard to tell people back to veggies, and we're 80% macro scale, 80% veggies, and about 20% good quality protein, and just staying away from carbs. Not saying that all carbs are bad. Veggies have carbs, other things have carbs, but keep it simple, keep it clean, and keep it proper. Even the word organic has lost about 50 to 70% of the meaning. Well, it's better than
Now
otherwise, but still,
Maybe.
Yeah, a lot of organic now is just about who paid to have that label. You'd be better off to go to your farmer's market and ask the farmer, did you spray this?
yes,
Because they can't use the term organic unless
when you want to develop your own garden, this is a wonderful, wonderful idea, and the time has come. Especially now that we don't know what's going to be happening with foods and supplies and vitamins and things of that nature. So that's another skill to get it. But please continue. You were
well, and just kind
yeah.
of back to your point about the
Yeah.
food someone has paid in labs a lot of money and invested a lot of time into figuring out how to trigger our want and crave
Mhm.
those versus what we would find out in nature. So
in the past, well, back in the old days, physicians would advertise and would claim that it's healthy to have pure processed sugar. I mean, not pure, but remember those days?
Mhm.
I
I've seen that.
prefer not remembering those days.
But this is not new, folks. I mean, this is going on for decades, and what we're learning now and what we're bringing to you is it's not anything of the world. It's literally refreshing and reminding everyone that nonsense has been going on for decades, for centuries, actually for millennia, literally. And as long as there's a truth out there, there's going to be forces that are going to want to suppress the truth. And the truth is simple. The lies are complicated. And if you're confused and disoriented about what kind of diets, what kind of supplements, and if it's just all over the place, conflicting various advice, and you're still not in the place where you need to be, that's a lie. You're not where you need to be. And that's a simple basic.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. Keep it simple. Did it come from the earth? Is it a basic food? It's probably okay. Was it made in a lab?
Perhaps
maybe not such a good.
Well, some lab foods are okay. I mean, again, you got to trust, especially the
do
ones
your research. Yeah.
Do your research, please. You got a lot more material, and it's
Sure,
fascinating.
I do have a lot of material, but just to kind of go back to the vitamin C. So, like, I personally take the supplements, but I also try to eat a very, colorful, vibrant, vitamin C rich diet. So that's red bell peppers, that's the beef liver, which I do a powdered version because, eating for taste. Just all of those really healthy, colorful foods with lots of vitamin C in them. Grapefruits, lemons, limes, all of those are great too. So something else to think about when we're trying to support our immune system is most of our immune system is located where? It's
Well, go ahead.
okay.
Absolutely right, 100% on, and I'm with you. I was saying the gut,
Yep.
GI system.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Shealy. Would you agree that if you want to look at immunity, the first place you want to look at is the gut?
Of course.
Yeah. So the foods that we eat, that's going to affect the diversity and the composition of the bacteria in our gut, our immune cells. So we need to eat to support our gut. And so they're going to be the healthiest when we are consuming foods that are high in nutrition and also very high in fiber. So the reason we don't break down and use it for energy ourselves, but the bacteria And the things in our gut can help down and make short chain fatty acids, which then fuel many of the systems that are immune, many of the pieces of our immune system.
And this is where the symbiosis comes in.
Mm-hmm.
In other words,
Yes.
being
Mm-hmm.
friendly, being friends with everything that's in our body. Because if you're not friends with your body, well, guess what? It's going to go wrong. It's going to go bad.
Yeah, you got to so you got to take care of all the pets in your body. And so one of the things I use sometimes to explain to people is you have the probiotics, and those are your pets. They're all your little area. But they need to eat too. So you have to eat prebiotic-rich foods to feed those probiotics. And those are going to be things like apples and asparagus and a lot of, just basic foods that you'll find in nature, in your garden.
From the earth.
And don't forget garlic and onions.
Yes, absolutely. And just so good for your immune system in general anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
support the gut for sure.
I remember there's a funny story when I first on a date with my wife, and I'll just just talk about a little something personal here. She wanted to get rid of me, literally. Lindy wanted to get rid of me the first time around. A couple of times first, I should say. It didn't work, obviously. But so the restaurant, she ordered steak and she ordered onion, steak loaded with lots of stuff, salad all over the place, huge plate. I mean, that's when I fell in love. So
did you just order the same thing?
I ordered the same thing.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes. But no one loves the taste of garlic and onions. Obviously, there's a reason why people use that to get rid of people on dates. So if you can do that, then at least there's capsules. There's supplements. You can take these things again without having to have to deal with the taste. Even though I love it, it does.
So you can play around with how you prepare it, because I don't particularly want to eat a piece of raw garlic, but if you saute it in a soup, I think it might be it is delicious. Same thing with onion stuff, and they have different qualities, raw, cooked.
And these are simple things, folks. We just basically, I know we're not talking about like just high-end science, but it is high-end science because in a way that's really going to the basics, essential, simple things that you can do without going to prescriptions.
I was actually talking to a client. That was kind of the end. Is it always goes back to the fundamentals. It always goes back to good nutrition, which just means eating real whole foods. Eat your good protein, eat your veggies, eat your fruit, eat all the things that will support your body.
By the way, speaking of support and appreciation, I do want to jump in, maybe not, but what better now? Rachel, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yes, today is my birthday. I'm sitting with all the Sagittarius. Actually, I'm really glad you said that. Can we segue for a second? Because I forgot last week and I want to remember this week. Mm-hmm. I am still recruiting participants for my research study on metabolic syndrome. So if people are in participating in that, my email should be in the comments. So it's rachel.s@realholisticdoc. Just send me an email and let me know if you're interested. If you've got 10 to 20 pounds to lose, you may qualify. So send me an email. We'll have a conversation, see if you apply for it. We can go from there.
And just to clarify, what is metabolic syndrome for the definition for the study? Do you want to go over that?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. So metabolic syndrome is basically saying you have a cluster of risk factors that are saying your metabolism is out of whack. So those risk factors include, let me back up. You don't have to have all of them. You just have to have 3 of them to be labeled as metabolic syndrome. Doesn't mean you shouldn't still be worried if you just have 1 or 2, but for the official diagnosis. So those include high LDL cholesterol or low HDL cholesterol, some kind of blood sugar dysregulation. So that could be high fasting glucose. It could be high hemoglobin A1C. Sometimes if we can check your fasting insulin with your fasting glucose, we can check a HOMA-IR score on that. Let's see, what am I forgetting? Blood pressure, high blood pressure.
Blood pressure, cholesterol, did we mention that?
I did say cholesterol.
Spare tire,
yes,
obesity.
Waist circumference. So if you're a female, 35 inches or over, male 40 inches or over.
Now, the other thing is the non-classical definitions of a metabolic syndrome is, and again, you're not a surprise, it's the metabolism, it's literally the engine of the body. If and when that's not working, guess what? Your body is not working. So when you have see one that's not followed eventually by all the others, because there's a process. It's the same concept, and I use this expression a lot. If a woman comes into my office, or let's say comes to see Dr. Shealy, although you just retired, so let's say me, and then says, I'm just a little bit pregnant, I'm not really pregnant. This is the whole concept of the whole metabolic syndrome, literally. And by the way, congratulations on retirement. That's a wonderful thing. Anyhow, it doesn't make any sense. So if you have a metabolic disorder, if you're going down the wrong direction on the highway, so to speak, I mean, it's time to stop and turn around.
I'm actually so glad we that's kind of where we're headed, because that's another really important piece of immune function is obesity. So at one point we thought fat was just this inert tissue, and now they're realizing that it secretes all of these, cytokines and hormones and all these different things that are going to stimulate inflammation. So one of the ways to help improve your immunity is to control weight.
And that's huge. Thank you for mentioning that. What I love about Rachel is she literally brings it down to the basics. Sometimes I tend to make things more complicated than what it has to. Love, about complicated stuff. But so the short of it, the immune system and fat. Just look at it this way. You got somebody who is overweight, obese, too much fat. Why is that an issue more than aesthetically? In other words, aesthetics, how it looks in the mirror. Yes, absolutely. Why? Because extra adipose tissue not only stores the extra toxins and all the extra things, it also stores the inactive forms of hormones and the active forms of hormones. You tend to have estrogen predominance. With estrogen predominance, now that dysregulates the entire body systems, the endocrine system. Endocrine system directly has an effect on on everything, on the immune system. Immune system affects everything. There are skin manifestations of immunity. There is thyroid. There is all sort. Every single organ system has. You can measure an antibody that measures an attack against its own self. That's autoimmunity, and you can measure that. You can also measure the immune system. There's tests for that, and I love that concept. That way, where the immune system is helpful to yourself or not helpful to yourself, and there is a way to look at that. No such thing as a bad dysregulated immune system. There's cytokines that are pro-inflammatory. In other words, create inflammation, create self-attack, so to speak. And there's cytokines that assist, reverse that. So it's just a question of what is the environment of the body, and that's what we're talking about. Simple basics.
They're creating
And the bottom line is that 97.5% of people are not healthy because of the weight and other things.
100%, absolutely. But let's go on to some of the other macro and micronutrients.
Top ones. So obviously vitamin C, that one's huge. And then some of the other ones I thought that maybe people just aren't really thinking about off the top of their heads. And one of those is vitamin A. And that's really important because it helps form the mucosal barrier with your back and your intestines. And they're the first line of defense against when pathogens are entering the body. So we want to keep that all very healthy and functioning well. Something about vitamin A is a lot of people like, well, I eat lots of carrots or eat potatoes. And that's good, very good. Fiber, you're getting the beta carotene, which has to get converted. So it's not as readily available as other sources of vitamin A. So I'm still, yes, eat the carrots, eat the sweet potatoes. They're wonderful for you. But what you're getting from them is called provitamin A. It's not as bioavailable. If you're really wanting to give yourself a good source of vitamin A, then you want preformed vitamin A. And that's how we come back to the beef liver. I don't think I'm really going to convince too many people to eat beef liver, but I want them to know. But also fish, egg yolks, those types of things too.
And this goes back to the same concept of macros as well. I know we're kind of going around a little bit,
Sure.
but without the proper macros, without the protein, without the enzymes to do the work, a few pitfalls here that you should watch out for. Vitamin A is a huge pitfall that people need to be aware of. And by the way, A, D, E, and K, all those four: vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin fat soluble, so they can be stored and they can become overloaded
Toxic.
in the body, toxic. And again, having too much body fat is one sure way to allow that toxicity. So working on the weight is one big thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one of the best ways to make sure you don't have that happen is if you get your vitamin A from food sources, you aren't toxicity. That's
Correct.
usually from supplements, things like that. If you're getting your vitamin A from food sources like egg yolks and vegetables, you probably aren't going to get a lot of excess weight.
That's exactly it. Yes. The other thing about the macros is that if you factor in the right macros, the proteins, the fats, and everything else, you'll have all the things that can process and work with the body's metabolic reactions. If you don't, or if you're eating the sad standard American diet, or crap in general, then you could take a lot of supplements. You might not be metabolizing them properly. And it's got to be the right combination of supplements too, by the way. So that's why we have protocols, and that's why we talk about it. That's why Dr. Shealy's figured out for decades how to create success. 36,000+ cases where the conventional field, and literally that's giving people the basics. And we're talking about lifestyle. There's a lot more to that, but nutrition, the basics, the essentials, and the good supplementation that will allow. Well, it's essentials, literally. But please, let's go on. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll hit another micronutrient.
Yeah.
So vitamin D, which is kind of misleading that it's called vitamin D, because everybody knows you can get that from sunshine. This time of year, we're probably not getting a lot of sunshine. And some people don't get it all year round if you work at an office 9 to 5 and then you stay in your house on the weekends. You can also get vitamin D from food, and that goes back to fatty fish, egg yolks, beef liver.
Beef liver.
Yeah.
I think somebody's going to liver later.
But you need that, because you're like, most of the cells in your body have vitamin D receptors, and so those are working obviously on your immune system, because you have all different types of immune cells, and they don't really work well without vitamin D.
And it's literally health, mental health, everything. Dr. Shealy, is there an organ system that vitamin D doesn't affect?
No.
Yeah, there you. I mean, that's yeah, and it's essential. It's missing in most people, isn't it?
Interestingly,
Yeah.
for temporary time, 6 months, it increases the size of the penis.
Oh, well, I did not know that. But
so for all the men out there who are interested in performance enhancement, so to speak, vitamin D. There you go.
Okay, well, we've got
Dr.
a
Shealy,
tool in the toolbox.
And that was a research study, wasn't it?
Yes,
so that's not just yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Well, Dr. Shealy he knows his stuff.
Okay,
So, yeah.
how do you get into those research projects? I mean, some of those are pretty hilarious, I mean,
I get lots of questions about that.
God bless.
That's awesome. Yeah. So vitamin D, of course, as much sunshine as you can get. It's hard this time of year, and I understand that. So yeah, those fatty foods that will kind of going back to, it is a fat soluble vitamin. So if you don't eat fat in your diet, you're not going to do so hot with absorbing all those
Exactly.
D, E, K, and A. Mm-hmm.
So that's where and not a bad thing. Speaking of cholesterol, that's another big one. Most people worry about cholesterol. Doctors want to get 70 total. My God, that's literally killing people. If you want to die, follow that advice. That's all I gotta say. If you want to die a painful, terrible death, so to speak, and terrible life, terrible health. Cholesterol molecules is a precursor to many different things, and without proper cholesterol, you don't make sex hormones. You don't make things that are essential.
You know what else cholesterol is
uh,
important for?
yeah.
Immune function. It's part of your immune function. So
it's a precursor to a lot of the
But yes, you're right. The sex hormones too.
yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of things down the line, a lot of metabolites down the line from cholesterol. It's literally one of the most versatile components in the human body, and so yep. A few other things. I know you're going to talk about a B complex, and that's really important.
Yeah, I just had a couple other things on there, but I'm just kind of going back to the cholesterol thing. Dr. Shealy, I know, like on you don't ever tell your patients to take a statin.
Under no circumstance. It's poison.
That's a bit of a strong statement right there. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that just so you know where he stands on that.
Yeah.
Lecithin works wonderfully.
Lecithin granules. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I also recommend something called TMG, trimethylglycine.
Yes,
But there's a bigger protocol that goes with that, and you have to look at the big picture. But you were going to get into some other important things for the immune system and some basics, simple things.
Sure. So some other things, like one thing they find with people with impaired immune function is they're often deficient. So zinc is important to get in your diet. Now, one thing to be careful with is if you get a lot of zinc, and also if you take too much zinc at once, you will feel sick. If you get too much zinc and not enough copper, then it can cause an imbalance, and that's a problem. I know the zinc that we have here at the clinic has a little bit of copper in it, so that's if you need to take it as a supplement. If you're just wanting to find it in your diet, then some of the best places would be like lamb, red poultry. If you're wanting a vegetable base, then almonds would be a good one. One thing I will say about plants with minerals in them, like zinc, is that the plants a lot of times have phytic acid, and so the absorption that impairs our absorption of the zinc in our system. So, something to think about when you're trying to balance out your diet.
And I just want to say something about zinc and other minerals, because just again another quick analogy, and we can learn a lot from nature. So if you ever watch nature documentaries and mountain goats, those creatures are incredible. They're strong, they're powerful, they can tumble down the whole mountain and get on their feet and just get going, and then go back up the mountain within 5 seconds from then. Great, incredible skill, incredible creatures, and they will literally go to neck risks to get on the mountain on the stone, where they will lick a few things. In other words, whether it's zinc or magnesium or otherwise, they will do that. They will literally go to the place they're going to be falling off, and they're going to take a lick down on the way down, and they'll be okay with it. So it's that much worth it. And for humans,
I'm so glad you said this, because
yes,
as a farmer with animals, sheep and horses and goats and all of those things,
yes,
so many of the things that if they're like, oh, there's something wrong, it's a deficiency. So we have to, our animals always have adequate minerals.
yes.
We for animals like that, and then we don't check humans for that. It's so crucial. So the animals know what they're doing. They know why they want to go take that risk and lick salt.
Yes,
or
yes,
whatever
yes.
mineral they're getting.
Well, whereas humans will basically, we trust our sources of authority, which we shouldn't really. But let me see. It's actually we're a little bit beyond half. So if there's any questions, there is one question, but we'll keep going because there's a lot more material to cover, because we're talking about immune system, and we're talking about health, wellness, and we're talking about the basics, simple things. So we're still. Let's see. So I'm going to be taking questions on This device here, I know just alternative online, but questions for now. Does intermittent fasting help with the metabolic syndrome? Rachel, and I'm
So-
going to have my...
So I'll give my short answer, yes. Long answer, maybe. And here's where I run into the hiccup with people is they will shorten their eating window, and that's fine because that can help with insulin and glucose control. But then when they get out of their eating window, they're eating whatever they want. And at the end of the day, the most important fundamental is to be feeding yourself nutrient-dense foods that will support your body. So if you intermittent fast and then you go have a bowl of processed cereal or you eat a plate of pasta, to me, you're not really doing yourself any favors.
Let's clarify here on this. If you're going to be doing intermittent fasting, and it's a wonderful process, it's a wonderful way to detox the body. If you can do that for a couple of days in a row, or just make it the days, keep it down to say 6-hour window from noon till 6, and then that's it. Or even get down to 4 hours. But again, it doesn't have to be all of a sudden. It could be down to 12 hours.
Thank you. That's what I was just going to say. Some people don't realize just eating breakfast at a certain time and then not eating, a 12-hour window can really be quite helpful.
Absolutely.
Stuff
just
in between.
Basically, the short of it, stop grazing, folks. Literally stop grazing. It's just one of the worst things that we do to ourselves. But happy to continue on checking in one from time to time. But there's a few other points that Rachel and I were talking about, so let's kind of bring it up.
So kind of the last one, nutrition-wise, is B vitamin. We hit on a little bit earlier because vitamin C is so important. We need the B vitamins to help, the vitamin C do what it's supposed to do in the cells. And so I just kind of pulled up one B vitamin. So vitamin B2, let's talk about that one. So that's riboflavin. That is involved in T cell activation, differentiation, and proliferation. So your T cells are part of the immune system that focuses on specific foreign particles. So that way, if we are supporting our T cells, and they can go through and kind of look at exactly what we're attacking and do their job correctly. So that's just one B. I'm not going to go through the whole list.
There's a whole bunch. Absolutely.
Right. But essentially, you need those B vitamins to support your immune system.
Yep. And we'll get into some other aspects of lifestyle and sleep and why is that important, other factors. But we do have a question. Seed oils, are they worse than sugar?
Well, they are highly inflammatory, and I absolutely do not recommend them. Have any?
Dr. Shealy, how do you feel about seed oils that come from seeds?
No good.
Okay.
I've never eaten them.
Well, there you go. Yeah, most seed oils are omega-6. So when you have too many omega-6s, not enough omega-3s, you're going to be way out of balance, and that's going to create inflammation.
Speaking of omegas, speaking of fatty acids, just a number, right, in general? Okay, so 3 is what you need. 6, well, 6 is not a bad thing in itself. It serves various functions. There's a molecule in the body. It's the ratios.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when the ratio of 6 to 3 becomes compromised, then you get into this thing called pro-inflammatory state. And this pro-inflammatory state will actually turn the immune system from helpful, from self-protecting, to self-harming. This is where autoimmunity starts to come in. This is where a lot of the long COVID and post-inflammatory syndromes come in. This is where concept Shealy's idea of electromagnetic dysthymia, or dysregulation of the entire system. Electromagnetic, in other words, endocrine, nervous system, mental health, physical health, lots of metabolic issues, the metabolic syndrome, all the complications, autoimmunity, you name it. Low energy, and just in general, crap.
Well, and kind of going back to the seed oils, which is what is part of what leads to all, is one thing, because I'm the details person. So you just gave them a lot of people need, and I'm going to tell them the nitty gritty of seed oils are in everything. So you pick up a bag of potato chips, you're going to find it in there. You pick up a bag of cookie, it's everywhere. You really have to get down to. I cannot tell you how many times personally I've been at the grocery store, I have picked something up, looked at the ingredients and I'm like, oh, that's disappointing. It's
Goes back
sad on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, if you're going to be doing shopping, look at the ingredients. But if you see stuff in the middle of the store, I'm just going to say in general, stay away from that. A little safer.
I don't shop in the middle of the store.
That's
Okay. And since
that's perfect. he knows. Yeah.
Since we're talking about, let's finish the question on omegas. So, what dose of omega-3 daily? What do you recommend?
Well, that is a kind of a personal question because everyone's going to be a little bit different. So, I mean, that's like we could sit down and calculate your particular ratio, but
And that's why, and this is why I want to bring this up, because some of these questions are not so simple. It depends on a lot of factors. It depends on a lot of needs, which is Rachel is so incredible to have with us because, like we said, you're the detail person. I have the concept, I have the idea, I know what I want to do, but you came in, and because of you, I mean, I've got my muscle, musculature back. Yeah, I'm not saying I am gonna go for for a competition
we're not
at this
entering
point.
bodybuilding competitions, but that's a whole nother level of not healthy.
That's well, yes. But I do want to talk about several things that are important, and in light of Dr. Shealy's birthday. Now I know we had a sale a wonderful sale on PEMF that ended at the end of this at the beginning of December. And it was for Dr. Shealy's the birthday and the retirement celebration, and literally what that was is a $240 or 15% off PEMF plus the 3 courses. Biogenics, which is all about self-regulation, but also the course on personal intuition. In other words, how to clear the control center, so to speak, how to be able to trust your gut, how to be able to know that you are okay. And of course, youthful longevity for if you're going to be alive, enjoy good, healthy living. Courses plus essentials, which is a good B complex, plus vitamin C, what we talked about, plus magnesium topical, which is another essential.
And I do want to mention,
Mhm.
humans cannot make magnesium.
Yes.
It's best through the skin.
Yes, you bypass the liver effect. In other words, the liver is going to clean out a lot of the magnesium before it does any useful work. And magnesium is deficient in the cells. So if you were looking for anything other than elimination, magnesium topical lotion. And that's also part of what's included. And one other thing that gets thrown in here, again, what was thrown in was Air Bliss, which is a bliss oil, essential oils on acupuncture points, 12 points, raises oxytocin, neurotensin, bonding. I feel, and when you feel good, you do good. And again, it's interesting. A lot of the folks that I see, they just want to feel good for a little bit, in their suffering. Not feel good all around. Why not get to that place? So we talked to the team, and we're going to bring the sale back in honor of Dr. birthday. It's not every day or every year that you get to be 90 years old. So we are going to bring this back until the end of the month. So if you've missed that and you want, this is a wonderful opportunity. But let's get back to some of the other things, unless we have a question. Let's see. We'll get, like I said, we'll get back to some of the things, but the short of it, we're bringing back the Black Friday in December. Why not? We can do it. We'll do it.
Just back to what Lou was saying about the magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
If people are here local and they're patients, one of the other ways they can get it is through the Myers cocktail. So intravenously, that way is very bioavailable.
Yes.
And if they're not here locally, then maybe find somewhere that can do that, because you not only get the magnesium, but you're getting that really crucial vitamin C,
Dr. Shealy,
which is good for your skin.
Oh God, it's so vitamin C. So this is
Yeah.
where Lindy would come in. You know, my
Yeah.
wife. Her measure of success is how good its skin looks.
Right,
I
yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
if the skin is looking good, then I'm just kidding. But Dr. Shealy, you've been doing Myers cocktails of vitamin C decades now.
It's 1979.
Ah, my God,
Wow.
you got started early, and that's one way to get vitamin C in the body at levels and doses that are you cannot take by mouth, literally.
You could try,
You could try,
but
but
you would want to have a bathroom close by.
yes.
It boosts the immune system. Any other single thing. A big dose of 25 to 100
to 50 to
grams.
75 to sometimes 100.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Is a thing or anybody. We don't say that statement, but there are several cases, several experiences in my time with the practice, for example, that blew my mind, and there's many of them actually. For example, there was a gentleman who was 80 years plus, and I'm not going to go and say the name or otherwise, but stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and literally he was told that he's done. Literally, that's nothing else to do. He went into remission. Literally, he went into remission. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer in an older person. That's a death sentence in the conventional, but this is the miracle of what you can do when you actually help the body take care of itself. And that's what it's all about. So we didn't cure him. I mean, he literally cured himself. And so that's vitamin C and Myers cocktail. And if there's whether it's a need for a quick boost, or you get starting to get sick a little bit, or major autoimmune condition, or major metabolic condition, it's one of the best ways to clean out the system, and we do that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we at the clinic, we kind of do that prophylactically. We all get one at least once or twice a month just to make sure we're all still here. And when the COVID patients come in, or the cold and flu patients, where none of us are too concerned.
Oh God, yeah. And then I go to emergency
And you're in
room.
an ER, yeah.
Every time I come back
Yeah.
that Monday, or after the weekend, boom, I get my IVs. And hey, it is what it is. If I got to walk into the room with somebody coughing, sneezing, and I'm not concerned about having to wear N95 masks or anything else of that nature. It doesn't matter. It's going to get right through that thing anyhow. It's my own immunity that matters. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the concern and the stress, this is kind of your area of expertise, but personally for me, I don't care how good my nutrition is. If I just don't have good stress management, I will get sick. And so stress management is such a huge part of supporting your immune system.
That's absolutely huge. Dr. Shealy in the 70s came up with another wonderful thing, which is called biogenics. Literally a mind for it's a stress solutions. It's not stress management per se. It's a stress solutions, and literally self-regulation and resetting of the entire brain bucket. In other words, how we process and how we do in life. Powerful stuff. And again, and that course is part of the Black Friday in December deal. So that if you do nothing else, knowledge is power.
And speaking of all this nutrition stuff, in the city, Springfield is the place to go for replacing your supplements. It's the best, way beyond any other health food store. You walk in and they come to help you find one of 10,000 items. Spring Valley is the place to go. They carry all of our stuff as well, but the most important thing is for Spring Valley. And for at least 30 years, I've taken concentrated.
And actually, I think one of your favorites is tart cherry juice, isn't it?
Tart cherry juice concentrate,
Yeah.
and it is available only at Coloma Frozen Food.
Yeah, you get a little supplement edition. Yep.
And those who don't live in Springfield, you can order it from the store.
Wonderful. And if we have a little bit more time to talk about, let's get into lifestyle itself. That is huge. For example, Rachel, what do you have to say about sleep?
So sleep and the immune system have like a
Mm.
bi-directional relationship. So viral infection that can affect your, but also not getting enough sleep can lead to lowering your immune system to where you can get an infection. So it's just really important to have good sleep routine. And that's I feel like basics to people. Maybe they already know, but going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time, having a dark room, no electronics, a cool room. Sometimes that's a problem.
Mhm.
Sleep is, the people that say I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm like, well, and you'll be real miserable. Like,
And sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it
Yes.
can create all kinds of problems if we don't get adequate sleep.
Sleep is not just a time to to rest for brain. It's a time to reset the organs. I mean, there's a circadian cycles. There's the diurnal rhythms that happen at night for the liver, for the spleen, for the pancreas. I mean, there are certain times and places, that the body regenerates itself, and it's supposed to do so during. It's almost like you close the doors in a store, and you restock, you reorganize, reset. And if you don't do that, then you'll keep going, but eventually it's going to catch up, and it's going to be total chaos.
You need a minimum of 7 hours, and preferably 8 hours of sleep every night.
I agree. And something people don't think about too is sometimes when they look at the studies are physically active, you might need 9 hours of sleep.
Yes.
And that's right. Yeah, that's okay.
Or sometimes a little less can be okay, but not
just not consistent.
Not consistent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, life happens, and we understand that, of course. Yeah.
What other things would you say in lifestyle would be essential for the immunity?
Well, so from sleep, we talk about stress, because one thing I have found, and maybe this is just me personally, but if I don't get enough sleep, I do not handle stress well. And so that's a really important piece of also just keeping your immune system up. Everything's awful when you when you don't get enough sleep. And Dr. Shealy, don't you say sleep deprivation is just as bad as being drunk?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Quite as bad.
Yeah, and just as dangerous in
I
some
remember
cases.
my first serious crash. Not the very first, but I mean, one of the major ones. It was actually I was driving from emergency. It was a twin shift, and I was going to another emergency room, and it was a several-hour drive. That literally in front of a utility pole, doing about 70 plus. It's
that's dangerous.
That's dangerous. A couple of questions. Hyperbaric oxygen. Do you have one yet? No, but we're working on it. I think what we need to do is rearrange some space in the clinic. I love the idea on top of vitamin C and medical ozone on top, not to replace it, but on top. Why? Because it provides the extra oxygenation and lots of other benefits, but it doesn't replace the other things that we talk about. Please go ahead.
Well, intravenous ozone is an adequate substitute.
Well, if I had to choose between the IV ozone and the hyperbaric, the first place that I would go to is the IV ozone. That's my gut feeling, and there is a reason why, and it's called MAH, major autohemotherapy. And we take the blood, it goes into a bag. In other words, it's like self transfusion, but in the process, it passes through the ultraviolet, it passes through the ozone. We get ozone in there, and then on the way back to the body. And this is all done properly and sterilely, and again in conjunction with the procedure and the proper policy. But what it is literally you get blood which is cleaned of the bacteria, viruses, bugs, but not just that. Things that don't belong, things that cause autoimmunity. Stuff that causes inflammation, things of that nature. So any kind of autoimmune, any kind of chronic illness, any kind of significant medical condition that can benefit from cleaning out of the blood, which is literally everything. That's ozone. And then now hyperbaric can be a very good option on top of that. And I certainly agree with that. But please.
Well, I'm thinking hyperbaric is a good option for those who don't do well with to put someone in and out of that. But yeah, I mean, obviously the blood, anytime you can purify blood, that's kind of actually, speaking of that, and immunity and all of that, circulation is what heals the body. And so exercise is also really important for good immune function.
Essential.
Yeah.
Essential.
Yes. And I will say a lot of people, and this is okay, just walk, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're not really getting their heart pumping very hard. They're not working that muscle. Walking is good. It's amazing. Start there, do that. But you might think about just at some point, taking it up a little bit. Yeah.
I need to mention a vibratory plate.
Oh, yeah.
You can stand on it and shake your whole body. So it raises the heartbeat. And it is, I've done it for over 30 years. So it's one of my major exercise programs.
And one of my understandings of this, and you can clarify, is it also helps with the lymph flow. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, there is another question, and it says, by the way, the reason I'm looking at this is, again, this is not my favorite thing in the world, but until further notice, this is how we see what's coming in. PEMF question, will I get enough exposure if it's on my nightstand while I sleep? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You want it as close to your body or as close to you as possible. In other words, there is a 6-foot distance that it works, but it's the further away from the target, so to speak, that you're going for, the less the effect. So this is how I use the PEMF, and this is again, you don't have to do this way, but a lot of folks, this is how I learned about it. Feedback from people. Nighttime delta, 0 to 3 cycles per second. Put it under the pillow, helps to calm down, sleep, rest. This is the same time that I'm charging it for 6 to 8 hours. Preferably you get 6 to 8 hours on that. You unplug it, and I get to walk around my neck or be around on the chair that I'm sitting. And I literally go into mode number 1. Is the scan mode, sweep mode, the Schumann frequency, the regeneration, heartbeat of the earth, heartbeat of the human cell, literally. Without that, things go bad in terms of health, circulation, vascular energy. So it's grounding, literally. And then the second mode is the gamma mode, which is the 40 cycles per second or 30 to 50 range primarily. And that brain bucket. So great for mental health support, stress support, but also some other things as well. Inflammation, perhaps. That's what we're figuring out. And ultimately, there's no wrong way to use it. But even you can use the delta mode during the day, but make sure that it's close to the body part that you want to work with. That's the big picture. Up to 24/7. It's not, we say several hours a day, but it doesn't mean that's where you stop. You can keep going.
The only place you cannot use it is in the shower.
In the shower.
Yeah, let's not get immersed in water using it. But,
well, yes. And perfect. But we still have a little time to go over things. So immunity is a big topic, and just a quick summary. So, Rachel, how would you summarize all around just kind of the message that you're bringing?
The best way to support your immune system is to, we could start with stress, but really you have better stress responses when you are better nourished and better, have slept better. So it's so fundamental, but it goes back to the advice of your mom of eat your veggies. Don't cut out the processed carbs. They're not helping you. Make sure when you eat your fruits and veggies and your good proteins and your nuts and your seeds and all of those things, then you are giving your body the fundamental nutrients that it needs in order for the cells to do the processes that they need. Then if your cells can do their jobs, then you're good to go.
I haven't bought sugar in over 50 years.
Boom. And the other thing that I'm going to add here is 100% on target. And a summary is that you are interested in a research part of the research project for a metabolic reversal syndrome. Rachel is really wonderful at this. So if you have any kind of metabolic combinations, sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, weight, spare tire, low energy, lots of other in there that not good for you, give us a call. Rachel is the style.
Or shoot me an email.
Or shoot an email.
Either
There
way.
should be a link in there somewhere. The picture is this. And this is why we're focusing so much on the basics. The essentials is the foundation. Without that, we got nothing, folks. I am on my journey in martial arts, and since Rachel got back to my muscle, to some of my muscle, I've been actually back on a quest for a black belt in the Goju system, which is a Japanese karate. But the idea that I want to take from there is the concept of the black belt versus the white belt. And there's various aspects of black belt. There's mastery on 2nd degree black belt up to 10th degree black belt, and then there's you get into mastery of all sorts. But the idea and the concept is mastery. If you want to master, get to the black belt level in anything, in martial arts, in driving, in whatever skill that you have, and Rachel is fantastic at teaching people by example. And specifically in detail what to do to get healthier, happier, to get to care of the basics. You gotta have the basics. You can't have a black belt with sloppy techniques. You can't have a black belt who's got no balance. I mean, you can have all kinds of fancy upper body movements, but if you don't have a base, the foundation, forget it. Same in boxing, same in any sport, same in business, same in life, same in literally, folks. What it comes down to is, do you have your foundations the right way? It's just like a foundation for the house. It's take care of the essentials, and then your body will take care of you. And of course, stress management is important because ultimately, across people who are physically healthy and well, and mentally and emotionally just
Yes. And the best way is autogenic training. Just the foundation. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. The final, my mind is quiet and still.
And that I'd like to use this opportunity to bring back and to come back to the concept of holism, because holism literally is. This is what I love about Rachel, and Dr. Shealy, of course, is the founder of the system. But Rachel literally gives the whole new definition of working with a holistic modality, starting from the physical, but then there's mental, emotional, and then there's spiritual.
And you just can't, you can't separate them. They're all,
Every thought is a prayer.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So Rachel does do counseling and does do coaching as well online. So please get in touch. I recommend everyone that I come across in my office to talk to Rachel in terms of, I think I've been filling up your schedule as much
It's been
as
good, yeah.
And there are things that there are things that details that I'm going to ask Rachel, because there's I know the general concepts of what health, wellness, but when it comes to the devil's in the details. You really just in other words, which foods are rich in vitamin D, which foods are very rich in vitamin C, how do you get your B complex out of nutrition? In other words, these are the things that you need to sit down and go through the depth, the detail, the information, and it has to be to you, personable. Cookie cutter, there's no Burger King that gives like, for example, that gives you the size and same ingredient for every single person.
Right. I mean, people have different lifestyles. They have, if you're training for an athletic event versus sitting at a desk 9 to 5, you're going to have different needs. So,
or recovering from an injury.
Or dealing with an autoimmunity or, some kind of illness you're recovering from. Mm-hmm.
And immunity doesn't start with just drugs and medications. Immunity really starts with lifestyle. So this is part of the work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you want to take care of yourself, you may want to consider yourself working with a holistic provider and a holistic coach, preferably in one place.
I think we're a good team.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, unless there's any questions, let me check in, see if mhm. I see. There's actually one other. If I can read this correctly, after you take high dose vitamin D when sick, which is one. So 50,000 unit in one little capsule. So 3 of those capsules means 150,000 units. Day 1, day 2, and day 3 multiply by 450,000 units I use. And kids, of course, that's a different story, based on the weight, based on how old they are. Teenagers can be closer to adults, but younger kids, obviously, you don't do the same. It's fat soluble. How long should we wait to take vitamin D again? Now, after you load up, if you're loading up for health and for wellness, I would wait 1 week, and then I would take another 50,000 and just go with 1 week.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's well, back to the back rounding up of the where we are. Any final words, guys? Other than blessings, of course.
Stay healthy.
Stay healthy. Eat your veggies.
And be holistic. Be holy, because that's who we are. Blessings and take care.